Good evening, everybody. I would just like to say, for those who are on Zoom, please be aware that if you're attending this meeting, our meetings are recorded for future viewing. And we are privileged to gather on the traditional territory of the Kwakwaka'wakw peoples. So I'll call the meeting to order and ask if there are any additions or amendments to the agenda. Okay, so seeing none, can I have a motion, please, to accept the agenda as presented? Seconded. Okay, so falls on us. All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, adoption of the minutes, July 20th, 2021. Actually, first ask if there are any amendments to the minutes, and then if there are none, motion to adopt would be in order. Anybody want to make a motion to adopt the?
Oh, so move.
Thank you. Seconder? Sure. Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Opposed? Carried. Minutes of the July 26th, 2021 special council meeting. Any amendments? And if there's none, motion to adopt, please. I'll move them. Seconded. Okay.
I have one question about those minutes. There's actually nothing in them except that we met with the McElwain, and one of the things that came out of that meeting was they were going to produce some maps that can actually be read, and I was wondering if those have been produced and could we get copies of them?
Just a moment, I will defer to staff. Do we have?
I can double check with Matt Caldini tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
And the other question would be, is there, I noticed there's no report on this meeting in the agenda, but I'm wondering, is there a plan to show us the draft plan again?
I'll ask our CAO, when is the draft plan due to be coming back to us?
I do believe, without looking at the schedule, I do believe next steps are to do another public survey based on the feedback that was received from council and the focus groups and the advisory planning commission. And that will be, if COVID stays at bay, the standout in front of IGA sort of survey prior to the next draft being done. Okay,
thank you. Any other questions, Ryan? Councillor Mitchell, sorry.
I just wondered if they're doing a survey, will council have some input into what's on that survey?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, seeing no further questions, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, item 5A, email dated July 21st, 2021, on the recent ban of rodenticides. So this was for information. I asked for it to be included on the agenda so that it could be another public place where this information is made available, and a motion to put it on our website and also promote this on Facebook would be in order. Or receive and file.
So move.
Okay. For which one, Councillor Mitchell, if to put it out on our website and also on Facebook, social media?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you wanted to receive and file.
I said either or.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I guess receive and file, but I don't have any objection to it being on a website either.
Okay, it's just usually when we direct staff, we do make a motion, which is why I was asking. So, is there a seconder for receiving and file? Sure. Okay. No further questions. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Item 5B, we have before us a request from the Gatehouse Theatre for funding under our COVID-19 grant in aid. So move for discussion. Move for discussion. Second. Okay. All right, what would you like to do, council, with this? What are your thoughts on their application?
Well, I read through it and I'm quite content to grant them the $4,000 that they're asking for. I think that they've got a plan and it's well laid out, and it's a small amount of money with, it looks to me like a pretty big bang for the buck.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Mitchell and actually Councillor Cool, since we've got a hybrid going on here, if you would like to speak, if you could either put your hand up or just come onto the screen, because Anne Marie and Councillor Barron and you both kind of talked at the same time. So that would be beneficial for me as a chair. Thanks.
You bet.
Councillor Barron?
I was just gonna say, I thought it was a very well filled out application.
Yeah, I agree. I would have to say that young people have sort of fallen through the cracks. I know that Alert Bay has had some pretty tough issues. And I know that there are First Nations also involved in these programs as well. And I felt it was a well thought out application. Councillor Downey or Councillor Poole, did you have anything to add?
I would support this request.
Thank you. Move that.
I would move, can we accept this application as presented and award the $4,000 to Gatehouse Community?
Okay. Seconder for that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Councillor Cole, did you want to make a comment? No.
Well, thank you. Just ready to vote.
All those in favor?
I
Okay. None opposed. That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Do we have to see the project comes out?
Well, they applied through the COVID-19 grant that are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This the other one is the other bucket. Yeah. Okay. Item 5C, request from the Loggers Golf Tournament for donation. And just want to clarify from staff. I know I asked this earlier of our CAO. This is from our grant and aid that they're applying from, not the other, correct?
Yeah, through the chair, thank you. Yes, correct.
Okay. What's your pleasure? You sound like Jerry Fernie. What's your pleasure, council?
What have we done in the past? Have we supported Lovers Cup before?
I did ask this question. Go ahead to our CAO.
Thank you, Madam Chair, to Councillor Barron. Yes, this is something that we've supported in the past with a very light donations from the town. What would be new this time for us is the request for cash as well.
Oh,
And may I ask, were you able to find out what the balance was in our grant and aid?
I did. So we started off this year with $16,000, or sorry, $28,000. The Chilton Arena battery was $16,000. We're left with $11,571.77.
One question, I guess I see it says passes will be used as prizes in the tournament, which is typical that we've done in the past, and cash would be used towards bursaries. So we as a town already give cash. We award 2 bursaries to young people in our community already. So this, if I'm reading this correctly, we would be giving cash to the loggers to then provide a bursary. And so,
and the prizes to generate funds to give into the bursary fund, because that's what they use the money for. That they make goes into their bursaries, and they've been depleted for the last couple of years, which is, I'm assuming they're asking for double amount.
Councilor Mitchell, you had a question?
I guess I struggled a little bit when I was reading through this, asking for the $1,000, because I think that if the Loggers Golf Tournament wants to give a bursary, I think that's great. And as Councillor Downey pointed out, we're already as a town doing that. So I'm happy to support the in-kind donations for prizes, but I think if they're going to fundraise for the bursary, I think perhaps there's other places you need to go for that, not from the town.
Okay, thank you. All right,
I'll make a motion that we donate the 2 2020 pool passes and the 2 harbor boat launch and parking passes.
I'll second that.
okay, great. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor?
All right,
All right,
Motion is carried. Thank you. All right, next we have item 6A, 2021 Celebrate Canada. So this was tabled and I believe there were some discussions. I'll defer to Councillor Barron. Did you have a discussion with?
With Peter Ross.
Yes, yeah.
Still not sure what they're calling themselves.
The landing,
The McNeil
McNeil
Landing?
Landing, yeah.
Yeah. So they're planning to do a grand opening type thing, event, and they would gladly take our hot dog.
Yeah, and I did have a discussion with her as well, and it would be great if there, anybody was in town, but also would be willing to volunteer and hand out hamburgers and hot dogs. And I think the idea is something just similar, 11 to 1 kind of a thing. And it was on the week of not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, which
Yeah.
is the 21st. And the reason for that was Orca Fest is having their parade on that day.
Right.
Okay. So,
So what do we need here? We need a motion to,
motion to host a barbecue on the 21st jointly with the McNeil Landing.
so moved.
Seconder for that motion? Oh, darn it. Okay, I'm gonna let you, sorry, I just said darn it because Councillor Mitchell and Councillor Cole, because we've got share screen, you guys became very tiny. I'm gonna ask, actually, can you move that over a little so that they're bigger? Like, just slide the, never mind, that's fine. Oh, there we, well, it's still a no. Anyways, I think I can see you. So Councillor Cole, you're gonna ask a question.
yeah, I'm just wondering, like, you're proposing something on private property and a private business, and this was sort of money for the community. Is anyone concerned about that? I know it's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
McNeil actually is a nonprofit. So that's off to the side, separate from ShopRite, and they're not currently running a business. So they've set themselves up as a nonprofit. They'll be doing education up there to do with marine biology, sustainable forestry practices, all kinds of different things in that particular area.
and just a reminder, what was the value of this contribution we're doing?
It was
$800, sorry?
$1,600.
The Canada Day, Celebrate Canada program.
Councillor Downey?
So for clarity, the town would not be hosting this barbecue. We're check writing.
Well, yes and no, I think,
Are we the
yeah,
hosts or not?
joint hosts. It gives another pool of volunteers to be able to volunteer for the serving of the hot dogs and hamburgers. Otherwise, I guess we either turn it over to our staff at the harbor or we volunteer.
Well, that's what we were doing the first time, is we were volunteering and the staff it was a town initiative. So I just want clarity whether it's a town initiative or if it's not. That's all.
and
Go ahead, Councillor Mitchell.
I guess I question the timing of community events at this stage with the Delta variant very much in motion right now, and encouraging people to get together may not be looked upon as a great idea down the road. I don't know. I can't say it is or it isn't. I'm just wondering what others may think about that. I know myself, I've been trying to be careful about where I go and what I do.
Well, the other option is we can return the funds and not have a barbecue. I mean, that's also on the table as well.
Is there a second for the motion?
Not at this time, no, there wasn't a seconder.
Is the motion complete?
I was going to ask for a date.
Oh, on
Oh, first.
August 21st.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. So any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Cole?
Thank you, Mayor Wickstrom. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not going to support this. I'm kind of a sober second thought of what Ryan said. It's just too soon, I think, for the town to be affiliated with an event like that if something goes wrong. And then it's just also concerned of that the gray area between the private enterprise and this public funds. Like if it's a joint town of Port McNeill and this society putting it on, that's then town of Port McNeill people, come one, come all, might feel comfortable. Like I don't think anyone would not be uncomfortable there, but it is a private business on private land. And by doing it this way, it does sort of, it might limit some attendance versus not having it all. I get it. But the main sticking point, I think, for me would be the COVID unknown right now. Thanks.
Just if I can get some, just your thoughts, Councillor Cole. So if it was hosted at the visitor center, as we had originally done, your concerns would still be the same?
COVID concerns would be, but not the quasi, gray area with the society and the business and the private property. It would just be more welcoming for everybody.
Okay.
And I think that's the intention of the funds.
Yep. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor of hosting a joint barbecue?
I second it, so I'll support it.
Well, no, you can change your mind, right? Which is, I think what I did. So all those opposed?
Aye.
So the motion is defeated. So do we want to, before we go on, sorry, oh, I see, it just, the page jumped, sorry, I thought you were rushing us along here. Is there a plan B, anything else that council is wanting to do with the funds?
I think the funds have to be used
September 6th. Mhm.
If COVID is the concern, then give the money back. The time to put into getting something planned between now and the September 6th. I don't know about the greater matter.
Yeah.
So I motion that we celebrate Canada very much and give them the money back.
Okay, seconder for that motion.
You guys have a better plan? Like, is there an idea of how to use the money?
Oh, go ahead, Councillor Cole.
I just wondered if anyone has looked into option 2, virtual. Is there an opportunity to do something there or get something out of it, some equipment, or is there other things communities have done, or, it's probably not a great option, I'll admit, but I just wondered if
Yeah,
Mayor Wickstrom, have you heard of any other communities doing something, or is there any?
only large
Virtual.
communities that have way more staff on hand.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it would be something that, like, so for example, Victoria did something, I believe, was it Victoria? No, it might not. They might have canceled. Somebody did one online.
So here's just a thought, maybe the funds could go to, say, hire somebody to do a whole bunch of content that gets unveiled in a virtual way, but then we have some value to it later on. If you follow me.
Up to those restrictions on that.
I think there's some guidelines around that, so we'd have to look again. It's kind of like the last 3 weeks, right? Pulling something.
Yeah.
I think this is something that we've had a lot of. Would have been better suggested much earlier on in the process, I think. Not that I'm disagreeing with what you're saying. I just wonder about the timing.
I tend to agree with you. It's probably a bit late, but
So I'll second that motion. Any further discussion on that?
Could you read the motion, please?
Thanks, Canada, and return the funds. Councillor Barron, Councillor Downey, you had a question?
I do. We have a music fest that's happening 7 days later. The province has opened up, the nation is opening up. People who either haven't been vaccinated or have concerns about being a carrier to the virus, who don't want to be ill, vaccinated or not, are masking up and to either prevent the spread or be a receiver and of the virus itself. So at what point do we begin to move forward and live in this COVID area by masking up when we feel uncomfortable, or when we determine that we do it for the sake of our household, we mask even if we are already double vaccinated?
So I have another suggestion, but we have a motion first, so I will ask, well, if it passes, I know we have a motion on the table, Ryan, and I do want to say that, you know, the other option is, I know that that music festival, I forgot all about it, 7 days later, is engaging with First Nations and hoping to have some of them, you know, some of the, either the Kwagalath or the Namgis there, you know, maybe there's some cost associated with, you know, different groups. Perhaps if they submitted receipts to us, some of it could be spent via the music festival. So I wanted to say that because that's an option, but I'll ask first about, I'll call the question, who's in favor of returning the funds?
I'm in favor.
And opposed? Look at that, we changed our mind. I know.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, what do you want to do?
I motion that we go back to our original plan. We purchased supplies to host a barbecue, whether that barbecue be held at the landing or that barbecue be held on the waterfront. And if COVID is our case, then we move to the waterfront because there is a wider, expansive area. There is more space for people to spread out, less opportunity for congestion, and it provides an opportunity to gather and choose.
I second that.
Date, do you want it to coincide with the parade date?
Yep, August 21st sounds great. People, if the food is on the waterfront, the landing is a go-to to check it out. The parade is an activity. It's a full meal deal.
Okay. So that was moved by Councillor Downey and seconded by Councillor Barron. Any questions? Okay. I just make a comment that I heard what Councillor Cole was saying about the optics of the landing, though I do see what they're doing and appreciate making a community space, but I think that solves the problem, and I agree with Councillor Downey. At some point we do have to live our lives So, okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, the motion is carried.
There is more space at the waterfront.
Okay, item, 7A, reports, museum committee report. I will turn that over to Councillor Barron.
Sorry. So the museum committee does have a formal report, but when we were going through our review before giving it to council, there was a question of a committee versus a commission. So if I could back it up just a step, the highlight of the vision is that the museum would become an open place. It would create a place of pride, provenance, and participation for the residents, past and present of Port McNeill. They would like to continue the archiving, cataloging of the items that are in there. They would like to get some dusting and cleaning done, and they would like to get some work done around the outside of the building. But I would like to ask if I could motion for staff to prepare a report on the difference between a committee and a commission, because we don't want to present a report to council not knowing the differences in the two.
And was that it, or did you also want to be able to do some of the cosmetic that you
I
mentioned?
was going to do it one motion
Okay,
kind of at
all
a
right.
time. So staff prepare a report with the differences of a committee versus a commission.
And how each would benefit the museum? Because you want it pertinent to the museum,
I
right?
want it pertinent to the museum and how the volunteers could actually get some things done. That if we ask council to strike a committee, that's not exactly what I think this group thinks is the best. I think it's a commission, but we need the
Clarity.
We need the clarity around that.
So, second, sorry, Councillor Downey, did you second that or no?
I
Oh.
know you guys were still writing.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, sorry. I thought I saw I have to go up of the corner of my head. So that staff prepare a report with the difference between a committee and a commission and how either could benefit the museum. Seconder for that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion. Okay, Councillor Cole?
So would that mean the commission would have like a budget? Will that be touched on, or?
That's what we would like. Sorry, I'm trying to look off the mic with the motorcycle.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for, Councillor Cole, is if it's a committee, is there a budget? Can they have funds? Or does that need to be through a commission? We just want to make sure that what we're proposing to council is actually reflective of what the group wants and what would make sense.
So there would be a number floated around for us, because to me that's key. If it's $100 budget, no problem. But if it's
Like the idea, Councillor Cole, was to get the actual framework in place, and at this point, there's myself and 4 other people who aren't clear on the difference between a committee and a commission.
okay, thank you.
I think the other thing that might come out of that is perhaps, you know, in the end, you guys may have a discussion and say, hey, you know, a nonprofit actually, or not a museum society, as was before, might open up to more funding. So.
And at this point, the initial discussion that we've had, not having this definition, we don't want to recommend to council that it goes back to a society. There's actually some pretty strong feelings that the town kind of grab it, structure it, move it forward, and then maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, it might be appropriate, and there might be a group that would take it over. But the feeling right now is pretty strong. The town take the reins for a little while here and get it up and running.
Any other questions before I call the question? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
And then another motion is that we're requesting as the visionary committee that there be signage posted on the museum door, like an actual real sign, not a paper that's laminated or anything, that says we're something along the lines of we're currently rejuvenating the space and delivery of memories. If you're interested in assisting, contact whomever, watch for details kind of thing. And we'd like that at the museum and as well, when appropriate, to go onto the town and or tourism websites.
Could you hold on just a second?
Yep.
That the signage indicates information of restructuring, just say that's
Yeah.
easier for the motion. Than all those other things that was just there. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, and what were you were going to say something else, Counselor?
And that council approve that volunteers could catch up with the summer students, I guess, from last year to find out where the cataloging process was at. So that at least as we're waiting to figure out how, if we have volunteers that are willing to go in and continue the cataloging and get some dusting and cleaning done, they could go ahead and do that.
Part of the same motion or separate?
I don't know which is
Probably easier for us to track it separate.
separate.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's my motion.
Okay, I'll second that. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried? Okay.
And the second motion be for the current committee to continue cataloging and preparing of the museum and grounds.
Cataloging artifacts, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Pardon me, what was the final part?
Preparing the building. So that would be dusting and cleaning and some outside work. Providing it doesn't cost trade lines.
okay, seconder for that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion or any discussion on the motion, sorry? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. All right, moving on to item 9A, old business. So the Medal of Good Citizenship 2021 call for nominations. This is another item that we able to bring back and
Fire department.
oh geez, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Chief Tate. Okay, wildfire response on behalf of the Office of the Fire Commission. So we've got a report from Chief Tate. Move receipt. So moved, seconded. Great discussion on the letter before us and subsequent report by our CAO. We do have Chief Tate here, so if you have any questions directly of him, or Chief, if you would want to, did you want to just say something at the start, or are you here just to answer questions?
I'll answer questions if anything comes up.
Okay, thanks. So the request is for either the pumper truck or tender one to be offered for use at this time during that state of emergency and that crisis that the province finds themselves in.
I guess the question if I may,
Yeah.
what does that mean to our community? What position does that leave us in terms of protection?
Okay, Chief Tate, did you want to answer that?
Sure. So basically what it means is if the tender truck was requested, that would be a two-man crew that would be leaving with the water tender. If it was the pumper truck that was leaving, that would be a four-man crew. They're so hard up right now for criteria and everything else has been dropped. So before you needed to have all these different courses and everything else, but stuff is so limited resources now. They've actually gone to, as long as you have 2 people with your SPP WFF1 and your S100, you can have 2 other members not certified in those levels. So basically, what that means is if Port McNeil was to be dispatched out for the pumper truck, we could take 2 of our members, and then we could take 1 member from WAS and say 1 member from Port Hardy. So we're not taking all our own resources out of town.
But what about the fact that we would be missing a pumper truck?
Well, then you'd have basically the blanketed mutual aid agreement, right? Basically, every time there's a call for the North Island, who always ends up going out to these blanketed mutual aid agreements? It's Port McNeil, right? So if we needed help, I'm 100% sure that we'd also get help. So.
Okay, thank you. Are you comfortable with this? That's maybe my question. Is the fire department comfortable with this scenario?
I think this is a huge opportunity for Port McNeil. Not only do we have the apparatus, we're down to 4-man crew. And years ago, we gave the town of Port McNeil over $100,000 to put to this truck that we're purchasing right now. And if we look at what the future is moving forward, all the bush is turning brown. Things are dying in our own north end of Vancouver Island. So if we can turn around and invest this money that we make going to this in our own structural protection stuff for the North Vancouver Island, I think this is a huge opportunity for us. In the end, in the future, we're going to have to start looking at purchasing a lot of equipment anyways. So why not go and do something like this for a 14-day period and be able to turn around and invest that back into Port McNeil, hence the north end of Vancouver Island.
Chief Trade, I have 2 questions for you. One, those acronyms you threw out, could you explain what those meant? The SP.
It's a certain course level you have to be able to go deal with wildland. And the ICS 100 is also pretty much the same thing, but it's a bit more involved.
What does ICS stand for?
Incident Command System. And then there's also the S100 is structural protection.
Okay, thank you. And the other question I have is how many current active volunteers do you have on the department?
It was 22 and we just picked up a few more. So
Thank you. Questions, either Councillor Cole or Councillor Mitchell?
I could support what we agreed to last year, which was to provide our equipment as far as Sayward. I really struggle with putting it over on the mainland and being completely unavailable to us for quite a period of time easily. The other thing is, I think that any revenue that's generated from this, there's no volunteerism happening here. Everybody will be paid, and the apparent profit from doing this, I believe, needs to go back into general revenue. That money rightly belongs to the citizens of Port McNeil as a whole, and I think that money needs to go back into general revenue. And I would maybe support this concept if that's what's going to happen. I definitely wouldn't support it if it's just going in to buy more equipment, and we're wearing out the equipment we have by sending it out to these things. And I understand there's all kinds of benefits of getting guys some experience. I don't discount that in any way. But I think we did make a decision that we were comfortable with Sayward, and all of a sudden we're comfortable with Kamloops, and that doesn't really excite me at all.
Any other comments?
Chief Tate, do you have personnel available who are in a layoff situation or not currently working that would be able to do this? Or are you looking at if they called for either of these trucks for a certain period of time that you'd be kind of scrambling looking for people?
Oh, no, we've already come up with a game plan of who would be sending, right? We don't want just anybody taking our trucks off. Like, yeah, no, we've kind of done our homework on that part.
Go ahead. I'll ask my question after. Councilor Downey, go ahead.
Or a comment and a question. I'm watching the fires burning around the province, and for us to sit here on resources that can be used to assist other communities, I think is wise, provided that we are not putting our own communities at risk. I'm not worried about wear and tear on the fire trucks, because often these vehicles will they will time out years before they actually time out in their actual use of the, ringing up of the hours or the time used on them. So I'm not concerned about that. I'm just concerned about potential risk to the community. So.
Councilor Cole, you had a question?
No, just a comment. I think it's too big a risk as well. We all have families here. If we can somehow make do without 2 trucks, then, why do we even have them? Just to be, kind of frank, I'd hate to see a house fire or something, and any kind of delay could have disastrous consequences. And we could also have forest fires around here. So yeah, I'll be voting against it. Unfortunately, there's lots of good reasons to do it, but I think the risk is too big. Thanks.
Chief Tate, we go water tender number 1 for the purpose of being able to provide the mutual aid to the standard for our outlying areas. If water tender 1 was what the Office of the Fire Commissioner asked for, what's the backup plan for fighting a fire in one of those areas?
Well, that's when you would ask for mutual aid as far as High Creek with their water tender. They're what, 5 minutes away from us? And they've actually got 2 water tenders.
High Creek has 2 water tenders?
Yes.
Because they don't have hydrants and water, so they've geared their supplies towards being able to fight without a hydrant, whereas we've kind of geared our supplies more towards fighting with a hydrant, and then our secondary for those areas is the water tender.
That's right.
So the comment that I was going to make is under the state of emergency, my understanding is that people can be seconded now under the state of emergency. And so if they're taken from a job, they'll be compensated. They can be taken from other jobs if the government deems that they need them. So that would be one thing. I'm not sure if that would be the case in this. Chief Tate, would they be asking for permission to leave from their jobs?
Yeah, and they've already had the okay from their employers and stuff.
And the other thing, yeah, I'm really struggling because I understand Councillor Cole's risk to our community, but I also, this is an exceptional situation. And I've seen many council colleagues just really on social media, really struggling with what they're facing, Vernon on an evacuation alert, and yeah, entire communities being wiped out. And I'm struggling with how I would feel if it was us, and how I would long for someone to come and help us.
If I could just interrupt, I have the North Island Forest Operations Daily Weather Report right here from 1 o'clock today on August 10th. And it's got weather stations from Holberg, around the Port Alice area, and well, they've got Benson, O'Connor Lake around here in Port McNeill. And there are 2 weather stations in our area that are in moderate. One of them requires a 1-hour fire watch. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 weather stations in danger class 2, which is low. And there are 3 weather stations in danger class 1, which is very low. So there is a heat wave coming next week. The buildup index is really low. If we had the weather readings that we had before that rain we just had, where we were in high and extreme, I would have a really, really hard time letting go of our items, our pieces. I would prefer Pumper 3 win and we kept back Water Tender 1, because I think that it was worth its dollars with that fire down at Wass, and I'd like to be able to have that here. But I think it is a state of emergency, and you know, the whole town, you know, in the interior, like that whole town was gone. You know, there's people are defying, because there's people that are defying the evacuation orders because there is not enough resources.
Nobody's protecting.
Nobody's protecting them. Chief Tate, if we did send these trucks and our danger class went right back up to extreme again, danger class 5, what is our option to pull those people or the truck back?
Well, basically, if your authority has jurisdiction, wants you back because of something like that, then you're gonna have to pull out and head back.
So we would have that option once we went there. If you went for an intended 10-day shift and something changed back here, maybe half the department broke their legs and you needed the bodies, you would be able to bring those people back.
Absolutely, but like I said, if we are granted that we could go, Quarantine would only be taking 2 of their own members.
Okay.
Just to clarify, it would be one or the other, not both pieces of equipment, correct?
Correct. If that's the way that you want to go, I mean, we just put our Pumper 3 out for if they want to take it. Anne Marie said, then we leave the water tender.
So that's the way I read it said, I'm sorry, I read the report as either or.
That I think was the CAO's report.
Oh, the CAO's report. Beg your pardon. Okay. Okay.
And just one comment to what Councillor Mitchell said about the money. I think we have a new CFO joining shortly, and our whole way of accounting might change. So I really don't want to see us get hung up on that end of it. First, they have to get requested, they have to go, we have to bill, we have to get the money. And then I think if you want to start looking at cost center accounting versus general pot accounting, we can do that at another time. But I will make a motion that Pumper 3 be made available for firefighting per Office of the Fire Commissioner. Would that be fair, Chief Tate?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
I'll just wait till it's typed out.
Indefinitely for this year only.
For 2021.
Okay. All right, so that was moved by Councillor Barron and Councillor Downey. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Cole, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Wickstrom. Yeah, with some discussion about a local forest fire or something here. My main concern is the citizens of Port McNeill that pay for the fire department. And if there's a structure fire or somebody's families or homes burns down, I just don't want to regret this decision. So I'll be voting against the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Mitchell, did you want to say something?
No, I've already said it. Thank you.
Okay. So seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. Okay, item 9A. Now we're on to Medal of Good Citizenship 2021. brought to the table before, and I asked for council to think about those you may consider nominating. I had put a name out there, which was Deborah Murray, as this particular call for nomination speaks directly to those who have done work during COVID and have had met a need during COVID. But having said that, I wanted to find out if there were any other names that people thought we should be nominating. And if not, I wanted to, I guess we'll make a motion. I mean, I'd be willing to fill out the nomination form. Councillor Barron, would you help me with this? Sure. We have until September, but a motion to submit Deborah Murray, I would say, and brackets, other volunteers, because we may discover that there is actually, you know, 3 or 4 of them as a team.
Do we want to do this by motion?
Do we need to do this by motion?
No.
Oh, it's not staff doing it, so no. Okay, does anybody have a problem if Anne Marie, Councillor Barron and I just go ahead with the nomination for Deborah Murray?
It would be wonderful.
Isn't it pretty much open to anybody to make a nomination?
Yes, that's true. I
Yeah,
just,
so I don't think we have to approve what you do.
okay, I know, I just thought it would be nice if it came from teamwork, you know, town of Birmingham, never mind. 10A, Board of Variance appointment. So we have before us staff report and a request for a decision. So we have the 3 people who have been on the Board of Variance for some time, and they are willing to put their name forward. However, it is a is it a commission?
It's a board.
A board,
Yeah.
yeah, Board of Variance, sorry. And therefore, it is something that, you know, we could put out to see if there were others, as we have not advertised for a while. So just wanting to know what staff is looking for direction. Do we just allow the 3, not allow, do the 3 continue? Sorry, I'm just going to take a moment here because I'm trying to do this all electronically and I need to find, I need to find the right page.
Page 47.
Thank you. Okay, great. 3 options on 47. So either do nothing, in which case the current Board of Variance will subsist, reappoint the existing Board of Variance for a 3-year term, or advertise and appoint a new Board of Variance, making the assumption that there might be new people who would want to be on that.
I move that we advertise for interested parties who may want to serve on the Board of Variance.
Okay,
One moment.
yep, just one moment. Screen sharing has to come up there.
Can I ask a question before it gets seconded? I just wondered about the standard 3-year appointment. Is that because of the Board of Variance, or is there a way to, with this new new term coming up, to possibly have, if it's a 3-person board, 2 people sign on for 3 years and 1 person sign on for 2 years, just so that you get a bit of staggering, so it's not all 3 people leave at the same time, or you get a bit of continuity that way? Is it because it's a local government act rule, or is that too big a question?
It's too big of a question. I would have to do some research on that. Local government act says 3 people, but doesn't, you know,
Doesn't have a timing?
doesn't give a timing. So I would need to find some direction on that.
Okay, so we have that council not reappoint the current board. He wants it to
Advertise.
oh, so that advertise. Sorry, I'm looking at the, beg your pardon.
You just-
Below there,
you just
yeah,
didn't do it
below,
all.
yeah, I see what happened, yeah. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
Sure.
Okay, so it's seconded. So discussion on that.
I was just trying to look at the rules that are behind there. So
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's less about the rules and more about the fact that we I really appreciate the dedication of people to take this on for as many years as they have. And I by no means want to diminish the volunteerism that they have done over these last few years. And I think if we put it out for advertisement, I'd like to make sure that it was clearly communicated, that it had nothing to do with them, just simply that it's an opportunity for newer people to be able to dip their toe into something that, volunteerism, we have APC and other areas, so that this would be something where perhaps someone new could become involved in. Go ahead, Councillor Mitchell.
My thinking was that the three members, the three current members of the Board of Variance would be part of that pool, because we appoint them, right? As a council, so
Yes.
we can reappoint
Yep.
one or two if we felt that would be good, and maybe some new blood as well. I guess that was my thinking, just to give some, if there's some interest, give somebody else that opportunity. So that's, I have nothing against what they've been doing. They do a great job as far as I know. And I don't hear any complaints about the Board of Variance. So that's a good deal, and they've been doing it for a long time. And yeah, it's good for other people maybe to find out how things work as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just thinking more in terms of sometimes when things are left unsaid, there's the appearance that we're not satisfied, and that's certainly not the reason. The reason is to see if somebody new might be interested.
Yeah, and I can say that definitely was not my my intention to leave that impression. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wasn't insinuating, but
I think that if their term is up, there should be a recognition goes to them whether they're reappointed or not, to be honest. I mean, they've been on, Bill Gailey's been on since 2003. And I wonder if he's ever had a written thank you. And I think at the end of your term, there should be, in my opinion, a written thank you goes to them.
I know traditionally, I think when people have stepped back permanently, there's been something written.
But I think you commit to a 3-year term and you end up there for 20 years.
Oh,
There should still
absolutely,
be
yeah.
something in between.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have a motion here that the town advertise for the Board of Variance members for the next 3 years. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed and carried. And I think what I'm hearing Councillor Barron say is that a letter from the mayor would be really nice to thank them for the use of service. Okay. All right, with communication, obviously that, that we really do want to see them
And encouragement for them to
reapply.
reapply.
Yeah. Okay. I have made a note. Okay, item 10B is my mayor's report. It's there for information. Yeah, receive and file.
Move to receive and file.
Okay. Seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Any verbal council reports? Go ahead, Councillor Mitchell.
I've been kind of wandering around talking to people the last few months, and I spent quite a bit of my summer rolling around the waterfront. And I've had no less than 5 individuals approach me about their concerns with our marina bylaw, and that really concerns me. When users of one of our facilities are not real happy about certain things, I think we need to try and make sure that we're meeting everybody's needs that uses our facilities, I guess is really where I'm at. And so I'm giving notice of motion that I'll be bringing that recommendation to the next council meeting. I'll be bringing
Oh, you just cut out somehow.
bylaw.
Sorry. Oh, there we go. Sorry, that last part. So notice of motion that we review the harbor bylaw.
That's correct.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, anything else?
Museum committee is gonna be very excited.
Okay.
I just have to say that.
All right. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Downey.
On
Apologies.
July 29th, I attended a meeting in Port Hardy with the mayors of Port Alice, Port Hardy. There on behalf of Port McNeil, although Mayor Wickstrom was able to attend for the first part, as well as our First Nations that are whose territory we're adjacent to. So we had the Councillor Leslie Walkus, Chief Councillor Ross Hunt. We had Chief Councillor John Swanvik, and then also Chief Councillor Tom Nelson at the meeting. And it was a very productive meeting, just brainstorming and discussing about the power outages we've had and what should we or could we consider going forward. So one focus is addressing our concerns to BC Hydro, that the need is there for stable and reliable, consistent delivery of power for all the reasons that we know: economic, social, health, wellness, so all those factors. And then also we had discussions further as to what power sources could be available going forward to indeed provide a secure and stable power source here in the North Island. So it was a first meeting, and there will be another one to follow up with this one. But it was very productive. So we'll see it at that. There'll be more details will come out. This was pretty much a brainstorming session is what it was. And there were a lot of great ideas that came out onto the table.
Seeing no other reports, then, like a motion to go in camera under section 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who is or is being considered for position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality. And section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service. So moved, seconded. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Are there any questions from the public?
Can you
And,
see the attendees to find out who's actually here?
Nobody anymore.
oh, okay, all right, so there's no attendees and there's no, okay, so motion to adjourn and go in camera. We'll take a 5-minute bio break. Moved,
Motion, yeah.
seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, thank you. See you on the in camera agenda.